So, as I've previously mentioned in recent videos, I've been concentrating on my small recording studio where I did video reviews on my custom-built amplifier control rack and the Grossman Fatbox isolation cabinet, all of which gives me quick control over tonal choices via amplifiers and speaker combinations. Now the isolation cab, it helps me to very quickly change out speaker types and place microphones, and that's what this video is all about. The brand new Warm Audio Fen-Tone ribbon microphone, coming in at a price way below the classic Royer 121. Now in this video I'm going to explain why I bought this as an alternative to my use of the popular MD421 Mark II, and I asked the question, was it worth the money and does it really make a difference? Hello viewer, my name's Stu. Welcome to the channel and my guitar journey. Once again, my opinions are my own and all the gear I talk about is connected to my own guitar music writing and recording journey. And after being away from all of it for around 40 years. Now I'm not being paid to mention any equipment here, so I always try to give a good balanced appraisal, and particularly thinking about how I use the equipment. Now if you like the content, please do think about giving a thumbs up, subscribing, commenting below, and do share with others as it all helps the channel algorithms. So coming up, number one, briefly, what's in the box and general specifications. Number two, a quick tone comparison test with other popular microphones. Number three, reasons for the purchase, and this may prove very helpful for those of you looking into buying a ribbon mic. And number four, my likes and dislikes, and there's a particular question that is actually on my mind regarding kind of dislikes. Number five, conclusion, final remarks. So without further ado, number one. Yes, my doorbell rings once again and the courier delivered a fairly large box, and inside was another fairly large box considering the size of the mic. However, on opening the Warm Audio box, its size becomes more clear as we see here a Pelly style protective case inside, and more on that later. And inside we have a cleaning cloth, some stickers, a caution card, more on that in a moment, an instruction manual, a product leaflet, and a mic clip with a threaded adapter. And inside a sock-like protective pouch, the WA Fen-Tone ribbon mic. So the general specifications of this mic are: it is a ribbon mic. It's got a 1.8 micron thick ribbon with a selectable inline 26 dB preamp, and here you can see the toggle switch on the shaft of the microphone. It has a custom Cinemag USA transformer and a figure of 8 polar pattern with a frequency response of 30 Hz to 15 kHz plus minus 3 dB. An output impedance of 300 ohms passive and 150 ohms active. Now, if you want more details, you can go to the Warm Audio website where you'll find all kinds of information, as well as seeing the very wide range of studio equipment that they produce. They are an American company founded in 2011, and they are based in the state of Texas. Finally, a word of warning on that mic preamp switch. There is a toggle switch that you can see here on the shaft, and if needed you can boost the gain with the internal preamp, which I have to say is very good quality, and it will require 48 phantom power. Now you need to note, as the warning card states, under no circumstances run 48 volt phantom power while the mic is on the standard vintage position. So number two, the tone test. Well, After this quick example, I will explain why I've chosen to purchase the ribbon mic and not, for example, one of the most common industry standard ribbon mics such as the Royer 121. So that's coming up shortly, and some of you might find that information useful, because I would have liked to have known these things, but I never saw anybody do a video answering my kind of questions. What I have here, custom Celestion speaker made for the Bad Cat amplification, and it's housed in a Grossman isolation cabinet. That's what I'll be using. Now, as mentioned, I do like to change out speakers depending on what amplifiers I'm using, and the built-in mic holders enable me to do a very quick and accurate placement. Now, I'm going to be playing through my Fender Custom Shop Telecaster here. It's a 63 model. Now, how I'm going to be setting this up is important, because I'm not going to be doing any kind of fiddling around. Every time I change the microphone, everything stays the same. Now, on this guitar, I'm rolling back the volume control, and just a little bit, just to take a wee bit of the edge out of the guitar's pickups. I'm rolling back the tone control again, just to take a little bit of the edge out, but I can assure you it still sounds like a punchy Telecaster. And I also will be playing this on the neck pickup, and this is a twisted custom shop pickup. So I will maintain that all the way through, and I won't be changing anything at all. And that way you'll get to hear clearly what those three mics actually sound like. Now, I'm going to be playing through my Bad Cat, Black Cat, and the tone in my small studio is very nice indeed. So that's a very important first stage, nailing the tone before you mic up the speaker cabinet. Now, because it's all about trying to faithfully capture that tone, this is why I'm doing a test on the microphones, because frankly I've not been that happy with, I just don't think the capture has been that faithful. Now, for those of you who are not quite up on recording methods, mic placement is very important, and while there's no kind of definitive rules of where to position a mic, there are generally accepted thoughts as to at least where to begin. And from that starting point, you then make adjustments until you're happy. And again, it all has to do with the type of guitar pickups, the type of amplifier, and actually the way you play. So to help you hear the difference between the mics and the way they are designed, I'm going to use a very general position that can work for all three microphones. And that position is where the edge of the dust cap, and that's the center part, and the paper part of the speaker cone, where they meet. So once again, I'm not doing any post-production, I'm not adding any effects, I'm not doing anything to this, okay? And this is to help you hear the difference between these microphones. So starting with the industry standard Shure SM57. Now, another quick comparison, side-by-side overdrive tones, starting with the industry standard SM57. So there you have it, simple demonstration, because there are quite a few videos out there demonstrating this type of microphone being used with many different types of instruments, for example, drum kits and so on. To be honest, from my perspective, I sometimes find it really hard to get meaningful information from some of these video reviews that people do, because there are just far too many combinations of equipment types the actual sound folks are looking for, and that's not to mention the skill of the musicians and their ability to give a top-notch performance for recording. So again, that's why I've done this review the way I've done it, to try and really help you hear just how different those three microphones are. So number 3, reasons for the purchase, which again, as I say, may prove helpful to those who are looking to buy a ribbon mic. Do you really need one? And do you need to spend over £1,000 for one? Well, everyone, of course, has their own requirements, and ultimately only you'll be able to answer that one. But for me, after a couple of years of trying out guitars with various pickups, amplifiers, effects pedals and speaker types, I have found that the tones that I'm looking for within a given project, with different combinations thereof, it has taken me a wee bit of time to work all of that out, and I'm happy at this point. However, now I have to get that tone recorded accurately, and now you find a whole new set of challenges where mic recording, studio recording methods, be it analog, software or both, and the environment, they've all got a bearing on how it all sounds when you play it back, exactly what you've just recorded. Now on top of that, if it's a busy mix of instruments, then that changes how you're going to set the tone or the EQ for a given guitar track. So a bit of a learning curve if you're not used to doing all this. So with all that said, what was I looking for? If something can be kept simple yet true and it's an organic approach to playing and recording, then I'm going to try and go that route. For context, I've owned a multimedia production company working internationally for decades, and I've used all kinds of equipment. I've been involved with numerous productions where we used equipment that was industry standard, and that stuff's generally very expensive, and where we also used many other products that were very much cheaper, yet more than capable of doing a particular job that needed done. So I mention this just to help some of you watching that I do have quite a few years of experience in the real world, used to dealing with budget constraints and making informed choices, often in stressful environments. Time is money. So my guitar recording journey, I started out seeking to capture a physical speaker cabinet, starting with the classic Shure SM57, a fairly inexpensive mic at under £100, probably used in just about every studio around the world. Excellent at handling high sound pressures and getting you a good general tone, and they are practically bulletproof, so great for live use and rough handling. To help put a bit more warmth and bottom end into the recording, a second mic is usually added, and here I bought the Sennheiser MD421 Mark II, which comes in at around £300, and it's also fairly robust, and it does have a slightly warmer tone to it. However, while this setup is popular and well capable of very good results, I just felt that I wanted to get just something better sounding, particularly as I use guitars, namely Telecasters and Stratocasters, which can be quite edgy and thin sounding. And this is where an effects compressor is very useful for those type of single coil pickups, helping to bring some of those frequencies under better control. And so, the ribbon microphone is well known for its warmth and ability to give a wider dynamic feel and also a more rounded feel in recording. But how much do you need to spend? Now, as mentioned, Royer mics are an industry standard, and along with others, the R121 is probably one of the most popular, but they do come at a fairly high price tag. But you know, just to give some kind of reference, the mic that I'm actually talking into just now, which is on an overhead boom here, is about the same price as the Royer R121. And that particular mic, it's a Sennheiser MKH50, a very common mic used in broadcast production. Now, could I use a much cheaper alternative for my guitar channel videos that would do the job just as well? Absolutely. However, they may not fare quite so well in a more challenging environment. It's a big topic, but learning to use whatever you have well and understanding product limitations, that's what goes a long way in achieving quality results. Get to know your gear. As mentioned, running a production studio for commercial, broadcast and film, I'm no stranger to the many microphones that we used to use. When it comes to working professionally, then you do tend to need industry standard equipment for various reasons. But again, it's not to say that you can't get fabulous results with less expensive gear, given as long as you use it well and within its limitations. So, because I'm used to working with industry standard products, Royer was a consideration for me, and I noticed that they also brought out a cheaper model, the Royer R10. I then saw that Warm Audio had brought out the Fen-Tone, and for me, a nice touch was the built-in preamp, and that does require 48 phantom power. Now, I say it's a nice touch because if you're not using high-quality mic preamps or you're using a digital interface that's not quite up to the task, then you can find yourself requiring a gain booster, which again adds to the cost. Now, these issues can actually become more apparent when recording an acoustic instrument where the volume is low and the mic gain needs boosted. So, I listened to a good many reviews on ribbon mics and heard a comparison with the Fen-Tone and the Royer 121, and frankly, it was just very difficult to really hear the differences, particularly over the internet. However, the Fen-Tone sounded like it could do the job for what I'd be using it for, and well under half the price of the Royer 121. And so I ordered one. And my conclusion, I'll give you that in a moment. So first of all, number 4, likes and dislikes. My likes. Very well made, solid build quality, and for what I bought it for, namely to bring a bit more warmth, depth, and an organic feel to the recording, and a more rounded, a rounding of the tones, particularly when picking the guitar. And I just felt the MD421 just couldn't do it. Just doesn't do that. And certainly the Shure 57, it's not designed for that. Within my recording setup, it does that, and at a more reasonable price than some of the more expensive models. I like the built-in preamp feature. I may find that useful for some instruments that I might be miking up acoustically. So all in all, really like this microphone. My dislikes. Not so much a dislike, but a question. Why could I not just buy the mic on its own? I've got no interest in the fancy little carry case or the mic holder. The box it came in, it could have been much smaller, all of which could have brought the price of the microphone down. Yes? No? What do you think? The mic clip, it's fine. It does the job, but I think it could have been a better design. Once again, it's fine. Just seems just a little bit flimsy, sort of. It does do the job. Number 5, final remarks. All in all, I am very pleased with the mic. It suits my particular recording needs. It has helped to capture the tone that I've spent a couple of years chasing, and it particularly helps record my Fender guitars. As mentioned, they can be quite edgy and thin sounding, and this just rounds off. Particularly you hear that in the picking, in the lead run picking. It just rounds off the edges there, which the other two microphones cannot do. When used alongside with the Shure SM57, I get the ability to mix the tone from each mic and get a blend that I'm looking for. And so it's all about trying to faithfully capture how I have my amplifier and guitar EQ set already in my studio. At the moment, I've been using a Focusrite Scarlett. As an interface, I've taken a different route. I hope to be able to show you a video on that maybe next week or at least in a couple of weeks' time. Well, I'm going to see if I can even step up my recording ability just even more. So do check out my channel playlist where you'll find many videos regarding my journey back to playing and recording guitar after a 40-year break. Lots of stuff on the guitars, amplifiers, pedals, and my ongoing recording journey. And I've got to say a big thank you to those who do take the time to comment or chat. I always take time to engage with folks who take time to comment, so do so. Until next time, the journey continues. Do take care.